You're live.
Looks like we're live.
We're preparing. We're working on it. Yeah, that's what it's saying, isn't it? We're good?
Ready?
Good, Sharon.
Okay, I want to call to order this meeting of the Alton Area School District School Board on May 11th at 7 p.m. If everyone would stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America,
and to the republic,
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
with
and
liberty, justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baker,
Here.
Mrs. Bream,
Here.
Mr. Francis,
Here.
Mr. Hoff,
Here.
Mr. Hoover,
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Here.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Cruz,
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Thank you. I would like to announce that we had two executive sessions, one on May 4th and one on May 5th, and they were both for personnel purposes. And now I believe Al would like to add 2 motions to our agenda tonight.
Yes. 2 additional motions this evening. 1, the administration requests permission to use either the high school auditorium lobby or the junior high school gymnasium, as well as the gymnasium at the Logan Elementary School as polling places for the state primary election on June 2nd, 2020. This authorization is contingent on working out all logistics and facilities issues. That's motion 1. Next motion is under personnel. Administration recommends payment of additional 10 vacation days in addition to the vacation bank upon retirement for Patty Burlingame due to COVID-19.
Thank you, Dr. Prietel. Now
Thank you.
we will hear from citizens if we have anyone that would like to speak.
Hang on, she's setting it up.
Okay.
Doug,
Yes.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
is the can?
Yes. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm going to set the timer on my cell phone, so you may hear that go off. I'll set it for 5 minutes. So go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to speak tonight about a recent disparaging comment made by Ed Cruz on his personal Facebook page. Now, I'm not here to debate to whom Mr. Cruz was referring when he commented that most school employees are basically selfish and do not care about kids. It doesn't matter if he was referring to teachers, administrators, or support staff. It is inappropriate for a school board member to publicly belittle any group of educational professionals concerning their depth of dedication to the students of the Alton Area School District. But honestly, most importantly, due to my role as the president of the Teachers Union, I'm here to express my concern over what seems to me like Mr. Cruz negotiating employee contracts on Facebook. At the outset of this bargaining cycle back in January, I asked both sides to agree to maintain appropriate boundaries in regards to social media. And as a member of the district's negotiation team, Mr. Cruz clearly crossed that line with his recent comment. And I did want to I was here just to say that this incident concerns me, and it makes me question whether or not he will continue to violate those boundaries once we are eventually able to get back to the bargaining table. So thank you for your time tonight, and that's really all I came to say.
Well, I would like on this. There is not on his private Facebook that referred to teachers. And I have talked to Ed since this was posted and since there has been this outcry, I guess you would say, and he absolutely was not targeting teachers at all.
And as I said, it doesn't matter to me whether he's talking about teachers specifically. Obviously, my role is the teacher union president, but I'm not here to defend teachers. I'm really here to defend all public educators, all educational professionals, and I just don't believe that it was appropriate that a school board member should make the comments that he did on his personal Facebook page.
Well, unfortunately, other school board members have made really disparaging remarks of other school board members, myself, and it just isn't right. But like I said, Ed was not talking about teachers at all.
Yep, I understand. Thank you.
Do we have the other speaker for the evening?
He's in the waiting room.
Okay,
Okay, take Doug out from.
thank you, Doug. Mr. Long, welcome.
Disconnect.
Say it again, Mike.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike.
Okay. My name is Michael Long. I live at 3707 6th Avenue in Altoona. I want to thank you folks for hearing my comments this evening. Before I make a comment, I want to thank the board. I want to thank the school administration, the teachers, their outstanding work during this time of COVID-19 and keeping the student. I wanted to just thank the school district and the school personnel and the teachers for all their work during this this time that we're having during COVID-19.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Mike.
Okay.
Okay.
The reason
My name is Michael Long. I live at 3707 6th Avenue in Altoona. I want. Yes, Mike. Okay. My name is.
And the reason I wanted to come in front of the board tonight is I would just like to plead with the board as a parent of the senior, the class of 2020, to reconsider the venue for the graduation ceremony this year. It's from my understanding that graduation will be held at the Jaffa on July 25th at 10 a.m. And I would just like to make a proposal that the kids be able to graduate from Mansion Park, that they can have some normalcy and closure to this senior year in the home of the Mountain Lions. It's a bigger facility, can have more time with their friends, and it should be, God willing, it should be nice weather in July. That's all I have to ask. I just, if you guys could reconsider where you're holding a graduation ceremony.
Mr. Long, we did look at that. There are several logistical issues in having to set up two venues. And then there's the other overlying issue is, will we be allowed to do it at all by state mandate? We're still looking at it, but at this time, we felt the best way to do it was to put it at the Jaffa, because regardless of whether we could do graduation, we could do a prom of sorts, and put all of those key senior events to ensure that they're going to happen regardless. So that was our driving force. The issue with Mansion is we can't set up both facilities. We don't have the equipment or the ability to do that. And if we chose Mansion and if for some reason it became washed out, we would lose everything. And we do not want that to happen, considering all the other issues that the seniors have had to suffer through with this COVID-19 crisis.
I can respect that. I can respect that choice. I was just pleading and asking that it could be looked into a little bit further. I mean, I know Mansion has their own PA system. It may be a little different than normally setting up on the stage. And I'm sure the Jaffa has their own PA system too that could be looked into. I would like to hope and think that July 25th will be in the green status here in the state of Pennsylvania. But I would also like to believe that July 25th, yes, fingers crossed and prayer said. But I would also like to think that July 25th could be some excellent weather too, to allow these kids to graduate from their home stadium. Plus, we wouldn't have to restrict admission to the Jaffa because I'm not quite sure if it can hold as much as Mansion Park can hold.
Well, we will revisit it, but I'm going to be honest with you. There were several reasons when we argued our way through this process that led us to the best option being the Jaffa. If that changes, we will make adjustments accordingly. But at this point in time, with what we have available, there were many reasons logistically why doing it at the Jaffa was the best way to ensure the kids were going to have the event. So
okay, I can respect that.
I hear what you're saying.
I just hope this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction from last year and the kickback that the school district got from having things held at the field house. And I just know the Jaffa is not a very warm and friendly place to have a graduation ceremony with a lot of people. But I respect that, and if you can just keep evaluating it as the time goes on, that's all I can ask, and that's all I can ask for you tonight.
Thank you.
But
I
again,
appreciate your comment.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support of the students and making a way for them to have graduation and a prom. But if you could just continue to evaluate it, and hopefully we can be at Mansion Park for this class of 2020. And I'm speaking as a senior, as a father of a senior. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Have a good evening.
Do we have more speakers or should we move on?
That's it. That's the last speaker. We can move on to the minutes if you're ready.
Okay, we have minutes from the April 20th meeting and the May 4th meeting. Could I have a motion
Red Hoover, so moved.
and a second?
Mike Baker, second.
Any comments or questions? If not, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
Yes.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Kelly? You're muted.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Oops.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
She's having technical difficulties. She just sent Paula a text. She was a yes.
Okay, moving on to construction change orders. Can I have a motion
Red Hoover, so moved.
and a second?
Frank Malloy, second.
Okay, any comments, questions?
Yes, this is Ron on the change order 259, modify stage lighting, $18,800. Is this a architect's error here?
That was an owner request.
Okay.
In order to make this sure the stage can handle an acoustical shell like the existing stage, we needed to make some adjustments so that moving forward, if we were to find a donor, we would be able to install that shell. And you also see right after it, a D duct, which works counter to that because we made some other adjustments to the rigging, and that makes it basically brings it down to approximately $3,000.
Okay, and this is the LED lighting.
You don't need the rating.
No, this is the HVAC ductwork that needed to be adjusted.
That's what I'm going to talk about. I have a question then.
It's modifying the electric for the lighting. Thank you. Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead, Ed.
That change order 260, I think that we're getting a credit back on.
Yes.
Didn't we just approve that not too long ago to add that?
When they looked at the size of the stage and the depth of the stage, they found that it was better to not add 2 of the 3 riggings. Yes.
Is the modification to the stage lighting rigging going to have a negative impact on the theater productions or anything else that may be on the stage?
No, this was all done in coordination with Bryce and Ben Cossiter for the theater department to ensure that there would be no issue.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions?
I just want to say welcome back to Gary.
Thank you.
Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Mrs. Bream. Mrs. Bream.
Yes.
Mr. Francis.
Yes.
Mr. Hoff.
Yes.
Mr. Hoover.
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
I'm sorry, I just got back in. Are we on the change orders?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Johnston.
Yes.
Mr. Cruz.
Here. Yes.
Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to move on now to finance. We have list of payments, financial reports, electronic signature for resolution, student workers' wages, PSBA membership renewal, and Katie's Margolis mini grant. Can I have a motion?
Rick Hoover, so moved.
A second?
Second.
Any
Dave Francis.
questions on any of these items? Okay, I have a question on the list of payments. Starting with check number 11081. It seems like a whole list of refunds for something. It looks like trips, and did these people pay this money in advance and the trip got canceled because of COVID-19 and we're returning these monies?
Exactly.
I
That's-
signed literally hundreds of them.
Yeah, this has to do, is this the band trip?
Band trips, deposits for other trips, athletic,
Band trips, deposit for other trips, athletic deposits, etc.
This particular one, what you were referring to though, is out of student activity funds.
Okay, so we're paying it back to the fund, not to the individuals?
you know, the funds.
Their fundraising money went into the student activity funds, and the refunds are going back to the students or whomever made the deposit for the fundraisers.
As per board policy, we are not refunding fundraising money. We are refunding payments into the student activities account.
Okay. And one question, and maybe I missed this, I don't know. Check number 114873, Henry Enterprises Incorporated. Tree removal at Keith Field, $3,700. What is that?
We had trees that were falling over across the fence and across the roadway. They were unsafe, so we had to remove them.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Check 114977, Altoona Water for the high school. That seems like a lot of water for us not being open.
Hang on, Susan's out here.
Well, we will look at that specifically. I did look at that and it actually is up from the prior month. I had looked at some of the other buildings, for instance, Logan, the prior month, it was 1,018, so it dropped to 885. CHP was at 852, it dropped to 672, but for some reason that high school one it was actually up a little bit. So we will have to pull that.
I looked at that too, but then the other things is the electric 114994 for Ebner, Penn Lincoln, and then I don't know what 1600 6th Avenue is, but they all seem awful high compared to everybody else also.
I
looked at it month over month and they're actually half of what they were for the prior month.
Yeah, but Penn Lincoln and Ebner are always high, even though they're half of what they used to be.
Correct. And the address you gave was the library.
Okay. That's all.
okay,
This is Ron. I got one. 114994 Mansion Park lights for March and April, $1,668.30. For being closed, that's a lot of money.
We have to pay for our space on the grid. It is down a little from the month before. The month before it was $1,742, but we still have to pay for the space on the grid. Is that one we can get out of soon?
The tariff agreement, I can look at it since we put the LED lights in, yes.
We're reviewing since we put in the LED lights.
Okay, it's like with the garbage, if we could talk to them and under the circumstances with the virus, maybe they could help us out a little bit here. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have another one on the credit card expenses. We paid, it's a very small amount, but an emergency permit for day-to-day subs. Are we getting subs through this shutdown?
That would be from the month prior, where I was still approving the day-to-day certificates. It takes a while for that to catch up from Tim's.
Okay. I think.
I have not, just so everybody knows, I have not approved the day-to-day sub since the school closure.
Okay, I didn't think we would be needing subs. And I did have a question, electronic signature for resolutions. What is that exactly?
That's so that we could go online and log in and do a signature for certain events that the state needs us to just log into the program and to sign off.
And that's the e-signature?
Yes.
Okay, I'm familiar with that. And I have a question about PSBA membership renewal. $16,604 is a lot of money. Should we maybe try to save some money there?
PSBA is our main advocate. At this point, we use them for a lot of different trainings, etc. I think it's a solid investment. If you want us to scroll back or roll back the level of membership, we can. But I mean, it's something that's pretty crucial to what we do as a school district.
I know, but right now every dollar is crucial to us.
Well, the other thing is, remember, we're running all of our policies through PSBA, so we're getting all of our updates and keeping all that stuff current. So there is a series of other items that are added on there, which are not just, it's not just the membership. It's the membership, it's the policies, it's all the other aspects of PSBA that we purchase.
Well, it sounds like we have the most expensive membership that they have. Everything's included, correct?
Correct.
We do have the upper end membership to make sure that we can receive all the services. Yes.
Could we look into possibly pay as you go on some of the services? So if we wanted to cut back, it would save us a little bit of money.
We can pull this for June if you would like, and then we can give you the a la carte costs for each one of those. Each one of those items, for instance, number 2, the live and online training, it has a cost. And you add all of those on top of the all access package, and then they discount it if you take all of it. But we can give you the individuals if you decided you only wanted to take 3 of the 6 instead of all 6. We can look at that.
Would that be feasible to do that?
We can pull it and we can
It is.
present that in finance. We can present that at the cow, at least at the cow in June.
Okay, I guess we would need another motion and second, or have that amended.
Yeah, can we have an amended motion that where we pull the PSBA?
Greg Hoover, can we amend that to pull the PSA?
Okay.
How about the second, Dave?
Yeah, yeah, second, yeah.
Okay. You got that, Camilla?
I do. Thank you.
All right. We'll take
Okay,
care of it.
Any more comments, questions? If not, we'll move on to a roll call vote.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Breen.
Yes. Okay, moving on to policy. We have one item there, which is final review of attendance meeting via electronic communication, school wellness, family and medical leave, family and medical leaves eligibility, types of leaves, and federal fiscal compliance. Can I have a motion
Greg Hoover, so moved.
and a second?
Ron Johnson, second.
Any comments, questions? If not, can we move on to a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Breen,
Yes.
Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis,
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
Okay, moving on to education. We have 2 items here. The first one is volunteers, and the second one is the revised Lex calendar for 2019-2020. If we could have a motion, please,
Greg Hoover, so moved.
and a second.
Second.
Okay. And any questions?
I was just curious what the difference was. I thought we approved Lex last month, so I just wanted to know what the changes were.
We approved next year's summer calendar last month. These are revisions because of the school closure for this year.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? If not, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Breen,
Yes.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, personnel items. Can we have a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Mike Baker, second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Go ahead.
This is okay. I got I'm a no on E1 with administration.
I
Other
agree.
than that, I'm
I agree with Ron. I'm a no on E1 also.
Okay, are we going to have a roll call vote now then? Are there any more questions? Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Now, I'm a yes, but I'm a no on E1.
okay, Mr. Cruz,
I'm a yes, but a no on E1.
noted. Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
I'm a yes, but no on E1 as well.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Cooperative purchasing agreements. And repository bids and depository approval, capital reserve list of payments, and electronic payment agreement. Can I have a motion
Rick Hoover, so moved.
and a second?
This is Ron, second.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions on any of these items? I have a question on electronic payment agreement. Am I understanding this correctly? This is so citizens can pay their real estate taxes online, and there's going to be a fee applied. Is that my understanding of it, or am I way off on that?
That's correct. That will allow people to process real estate tax payments and other tax payments via a web portal.
And we're not able to do that right now.
Correct.
Okay, so this will be something new. Is this going to cut costs in the tax collection office?
It will, yes, it will expedite the processing of payments. So I don't know that it will be a direct cost reduction, but it will allow us to be more efficient.
Okay, I think that's a good thing. I think people will like that.
Agreed. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
I am yes, with the exception of cooperative purchasing agreements. I think items should be put out on bid and not just going to these places and getting prices, because we found out in the past that their prices can be very, very high.
Mr. Francis,
Yes, I agree with Sharon on the cooperative bids. So,
Mr. Hoff, oh, sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Okay, moving on, new security vehicle. Can I have a motion and a
Rick
second?
Hoover, so moved.
second.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions?
Dr.
present-
Pluto, I asked that this would be a normal vehicle. Is it a normal vehicle?
Yes, it is. This is not an Interceptor model or anything that it will have a light package, etc. So it will look like a police vehicle, but it will be a normal Ford Explorer. Which is the reason the price is so low, quite frankly. We saved about $6,000 without going with the Interceptor package.
Why do we have to have lights on it?
Because when we need to, anytime we're doing any kind of event where the police have to stop or delaying with traffic, they need to have the light package. Anytime we have any situation where we have an incident, they need to have the light package. So that's the reason we put the light package on it.
How much is the light package?
Off the top of my head, I do not have that. Do you have it by chance?
approximately $4,000.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote on this?
Hey, can I have a question real quick?
Sure.
Are we taking one out of service?
The plan is that we will be able to take one out of service, because basically they're all almost the same age and we have issues. And so this will be a replacement vehicle with the idea that we're going to try to establish a cycle moving forward, that we buy a vehicle every year or two,
And
basically every 2 or 3 years.
nothing could be switched to that one to save money. So
The reality is we budgeted this so we could start to make sure that we keep the fleet fresh. The fleet is aging. And so by buying this vehicle, when the next vehicle dies, we won't immediately have to go out and buy another one. And likewise, we're looking at a couple of years where we're probably not going to buy anything. And with the age of the fleet, this makes the most sense.
With our financial situation, wouldn't it make sense maybe to hold off on this a year or two?
If we wait, we could have a situation where we could be buying 4 or 5 vehicles. And that would have a much stronger negative impact on us ability to budget and plan.
Why would we be buying 4 or 5 vehicles at one time?
Because they were all purchased within a year of they were all purchased in a bunch.
What year are they?
I don't have that off the top of my head. I'd have to, do you have the cycle, Susan?
The next series of vehicles that need to be replaced are our district vans. I mean, they all have over 100,000 miles on them. We purchased 3 of those vehicles in, I want to say 2013. Those Toyota minivans that we need. So those are the next ones that are in rotation to be replaced.
You have Toyota vans with over 100,000 and you think they need replaced?
I'm not saying that they need replaced today, but probably within the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to need replaced, yes.
I have a Corolla that has 240 some thousand on.
Wow.
So I don't think you just go out and buy a new one to have a new one. And I don't think we have the money to buy this year. But I'll vote accordingly. So if we're ready for a roll call vote.
are we going to auction the old vehicle off then or do something with it?
Usually put them up for public sale, yes. If we can't find another place in the fleet for it.
Could you hear that?
Say it again, Susan.
I said, yes, we would ask the board's approval to put it up for public auction if we can't find another use within the district for it.
Thanks.
Could we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
No.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Okay, moving on, new business. The first is the proposed final general fund budget. I think we'll take that one by itself.
Yes.
And could we have a motion
Rick Hoover, so moved.
and a second?
Frank Malloy, second.
Okay, and I guess Camilla wants to go over this with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We sent out, I sent out today a narrative that gives a sort of a quick overview that reflects decreased revenue of 3.7 million since we had looked in March and were hopeful of increased revenue from the state level. Now our local revenue is proposed to take a hit because of COVID related decreases. But we have cut $4 million out of this proposed budget so far, and we are still looking at additional possible cuts of up to another 100 million that will be reflected in the June final budget. But we're looking at a deficit at this point before the other $1.5 million of 8.3, that there's 950,000 in contingency, that's the net budget deficit at 7.4. It does not include the potential of 2.5 million in federal COVID funds, which would be additional revenue. And it does not include the additional cuts that we're looking for in efficiencies of up to 1.5 million. So this is the cuts that you've approved so far. And there are a few more that still need board votes. And then we will integrate those into it, and the net budget deficit will continue to decline before we get to the final vote. These numbers do not reflect a tax increase.
I just want people to realize if they are able to access this information, that we are really being hit hard with this COVID-19. We had this deficit down to a reasonable amount between the board and the administration has worked very, very hard in getting this down. And now we're losing income tax revenue. We're, business privilege tax, investment revenue, because the money that you get on investments is way down now. Real estate taxes. We don't know what's going to happen with the state. We don't know what's going to happen with federal money. So all of these have hit us really hard. So we were to the point of being really close to being influenced. And now with this COVID-19, it's just kind of blew this budget up, which is unfortunate. But I want people to understand that this board and this administration has been working tirelessly to get that down, and we're still going to try. It's not going to stop here.
If I can add on to that, our actual operating budget and our true budget without being impacted by COVID, we were looking at it in probably having a deficit that would go from 8 million down to 2 because of the cuts and the consistent structuring to get the best possible result for our dollar.
And we're not going to give up. We're going to keep fighting, but it's been here. This COVID-19, I mean, we're not the only ones. We're in the boat with everybody else, and nobody knows what's going to happen here. And we're just going to keep fighting and hope for the best. Now, do we need a vote on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is because of the changes from when we put it out before.
No, this is actually the proposed final
okay.
vote, and then it will be on for public display for 30 days. And
Okay.
we will have the final vote on June the 22nd.
Right.
You need a motion in a second. I move to approve.
Thank you,
Did I-
Dave.
Sorry.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
Yes.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we're going to work now with insurance renewals, AMP, which is new healthcare, Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, Empower 3 agreement, Ed NAV 2, and Teenage Parent Program, and the Summer Food Service Program, and compensation plans. Could I have a motion and a second?
Rick Hoover, motion.
A second?
Ron, second.
Thank you. And any questions, concerns?
I have a couple questions. The summer food service program, last we were talking about trying to distribute them more than one day a week. Are we not going towards that, or is that feasible?
I would like to think it's feasible that we can do at least 2 days a week. I have to have Susan run the numbers, but we need approval to set the program up, and then we can make an adjustment I can update the board. Right now, our biggest issue is having the personnel who are able and allowed to do the food during the summer because of the age of our existing cafeteria staff. The majority of them being at risk.
Could we
There are
look at,
other
maybe-
districts.
go ahead.
There are other districts in the state that are doing are doing weekly.
Yes. State College is doing it once a week, as are some of the other smaller districts in our county. They're doing 1 or 2 days a week, and that's their structure.
Could we look to hire maybe students who are graduating this year to run that program, be our employees? I understand if people don't feel that it's safe to be there. I don't have a problem with that. But could we hire some people to provide these meals daily? I just worry about a child getting 5 meals to take home as opposed to last week. Is there going to be proper supervision over those meals to make sure that the children get that food?
Susan?
Once we distribute the meals to the families, you are correct. There is concern that it will not be managed properly in the home. But we are doing our very best to ensure that they have every opportunity to get food. We can certainly explore the idea of hiring student workers or something that way. We are restricted with the people that we can hire, that they have to have the specific food service training to be able to prepare and distribute the meals. So there are some restrictions on the people that we can use for the program. I will certainly talk to our managers if that's an option. Right at
What
the moment,
people at the VOTEC, would there be any students there that we possibly could hire?
again, I can ask the question.
Because I hate to see that program go away for these kids, because I think some of them probably really look forward to this. And it maybe their only meal the whole day.
Our reasoning for making the change is to ensure that we will at least get them 5 meals a week, because going to every day, the staffing is going to be a big concern. But I will call Eric tomorrow and we will discuss some of those other things, and I will bring to the board, you know, if we can do it more than once a week, I'll bring that to the board. My concern is we need to be able to provide a summer food program for these kids. And because of the situation we're in, we at least need the board to approve it so that we can move forward with doing what we're planning, and then we can work and see if we can expand delivery.
And please note that this is an expansion of what the district has done historically over the summer. This program includes both breakfast and lunch, which is actually giving the kids more food than they've had in the past.
And just out of curiosity, the people that typically work the summer program, are they being offered employment first?
Yeah, the ladies that you approved on the personnel list are many of the workers that have done summer food in the past.
Okay.
What we've done, the way this program is structured, we're limiting their exposure because they are preparing without some of the face-to-face exposure to the general public.
Okay, I have another question on this section. Can you explain to me the changes in the teenage parent program?
Brad, what we are proposing is a change in the childcare portion where students who currently have the ability to bring their children into a daycare that we staff would be altered to the point at which we are pursuing agreements with outside groups and organizations to offer daycare services in the high school setting. However, we would not staff that. So the only piece that is currently offered to our students, our teenage parents, that would look different is that the baby room, the childcare room, would be run by an outside entity. Currently, we had a staff member who would work in that room along with others to support those students and allow them to bring their children to school. We are exploring that as a continued option. However, it would not be staffed by a district employee. It would be a daycare run by an outside entity that was housed within the district.
Okay.
All of our students, they all are part of the ELECT program, which is a federally funded program that provides them with resources, provides them with case management, counseling. That will continue. None of those pieces will end in any way, shape, or form. It will simply be who is not having a teacher run a child care program where the students would go to during the day. They will have a child care class that is run by a district employee. However, the room where they bring their children would be an in-house daycare that is run by an outside group.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but then the wording on this was confusing me, and I thought maybe they weren't able to bring them with them to the outside agency. So,
Well, we are looking at we've talked to a number of different local providers. We have very strong interest from one in particular that we currently work with for before and after school childcare. So we're working out logistics with them, but we will house it at the high school. We have a room already renovated for that purpose, and that will be available to our teenage parents.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Brad, this is Ron. Would it be safe to say how many babies are enrolled in this program at the high school?
Sure, I sent that information out. I know Dr. Priatel had sent it out. We had a total of, I believe, 45, without having the numbers in front of me, students that were enrolled in teenage parents. Now, that could be teenage fathers or mothers. On a daily basis, we would have anywhere between 4 and 9 babies that would be brought to the child care room. We do have some seniors that are exiting, and there's 15 seniors, some of which had brought children with them to the daycare. It wasn't every day. Some would come certain days, some would come others, but it would range between 4 and 9. We are aware of a number of current pregnancies of teenage students in the district. So we're anticipating, some additions and some deletions based on graduation, and then some new students coming on board. So the total number fluctuates, but it's typically anywhere between, a couple and no more than 8 or 9.
I've witnessed that program down with with the lady that left. And she explained to me what she was doing, changing the diapers, getting the fathers involved with doing that, getting the fathers involved with doing the whoosh, running the dryer, running the stove. That was a nice program we had down there. I like to see it continued. It needs to be continued, but
We're 100% committed to supporting our teenage parents, and we'll continue to do so via the ELECT program and other programming that we offer through our high school curriculum.
The coursework will still be offered.
Yes.
What you're referring to, Ron, will still be offered.
Mm-hmm.
We just will not be operating the daycare. That will be an outside. firm.
Okay, I got you. Thank
I know
you.
the discussions are preliminary at this point with those daycare providers. What does that model look like? Are they just using the space, or do they expect compensation, or are they just, we're providing space and they come in, or haven't you gotten that far yet?
Well, the compensation would be the students are almost all 100% funded through CCSI. So they're funded through programming, and that's how they would receive their payment, as they would any other daycare provider within the community where students or anyone was eligible for funding to be able to provide the payment for their children to attend those programs. So essentially we'd be providing the space for them to operate a daycare on site, which would then allow our students, if they so choose, to be able to bring their children to this site that is operated by that provider.
So the way you see it, there's no district dollars being spent to bring that outside provider in.
No.
There will be no dollars out of our pocket to bring them in. We will be providing them with a space, which we also provide ELECT with space to operate their programming through, for all of the county schools as well. So we have the space, very nice space, renovated space. It would be an excellent, space for any of our outside providers to come in and work with.
We also now have an after school or before and after school daycare provided through an agency, and we provide the space. Is that correct?
That is correct. We provide that in each of the elementary buildings. Now that is at a cost to the parent. And there's assistance available there as well. We're actually in talks with that same provider to provide this service to our teenage parents.
And with that program, we even have some staff members who enroll their children. Is that correct?
Absolutely. A couple years back, I know we had conversations about those services and whether or not we wanted to explore running them ourselves. And they do a fantastic job. I mean, they do an excellent job at a very reasonable rate for the people that need that, especially for children that have parents that work early or work late and need to have, drop off services in the morning early and then be able to pick up later after the school day. Educational, they have full programming. They run like a 9-tier system. They're a 4-star program, so they do an excellent job.
And would staff be able to enroll a baby in the program we're talking about?
It's not something that we've talked about, but I don't see why not, because it would be a program like I said, we would just basically be providing the space. And if the intent would obviously be for our teenage parents to have that as an option, but for staff members to have that as an option, that's something we can definitely explore. I'm sure that the provider will want as much volume as they can get, but there is a percentage in terms of the ratio of staff to children, and that fluctuates depending on the age of the children.
And if a staff member would use that service, they would have to pay these people directly. We would be not involved.
That's correct. They'd likely, they'd have to go through the same process, application. They would determine if they're eligible for any kind of assistance. If not, it would be a cash pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question on the Empower 3 real quick.
Sure, I'll step out.
I know last time when we talked, we said that they didn't charge us the final payment for the Empower 3. Did they charge us that yet, or are they going to charge us that?
What they had provided before were their charges and our payments through February. We are still paying them month to month, but they don't have the updated information as far as what the expenses would have been from March, April. There's a little bit of a lag in their putting it together, but through March, through February, we were better off this year being in the Empower program than if we had not been.
But I thought the gentleman said when he was presenting this to us that they forgot to bill us for a quarter. So that's why your figure and their figure did not reconcile. They were different.
That was in 18-19.
It made the losses greater than the money. We were losing money on it.
And then in 19-20, they dropped the rates that we're paying on a monthly basis. And it is to the district's advantage in our opinion and our recommendation.
Well, that's a change.
It is.
I would like to pull that out of this grouping if we could and vote on that separately. If we can, could we have an amended motion for that?
Mr. Hoover made the motion and Mr. Johnston seconded it.
Actually, you can just ask to pull. You don't need a motion to pull it.
Okay, well, we don't have to change the motion that was already made.
Yeah, you can ask to pull that motion, correct, Carl?
We'll vote on it separately.
Yes, I agree.
Could we have a roll call vote on everything with the exception of Empower 3?
Okay, Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Mrs. Bream.
I am a yes for everything except for insurance renewals, because I think there should be competitive bids there. It shouldn't go all to one place, and I would be no on that.
Mr. Francis.
Yes.
Mr. Hoff.
Yes.
Mr. Hoover.
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Yes.
Mr. Johnston.
Yes.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
Okay, can we have a separate motion now for Empower 3?
Greg Hoover, so moved.
And the second?
Frank Malloy, second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion, or can we move on with a roll call vote?
I just have a question. When Dr. Gates did his presentation, he talked about the extra services that are being added, such as the MRIs and different things such as that. And the cost there being Medicare plus, was it 130% over Medicare?
It is 130% of Medicare. That's so basically it's
Medicare,
30
130%.
plus 30.
But our reference based is going to be 136.
Yes.
Medicare, okay. And the question, or it's really not a question, but if this is approved by the board, I think we need to get data showing that this is really a cost-effective program. It sounds like a great idea since we're self-funded as a way to save some cost for services. But on the other hand, we need to show that it is an actual savings. So we need to make sure we have the data to show we're saving money. You know, not just hear about it, but actually show we're saving money.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay,
We will.
can we roll call vote on this?
Dr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
No.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
No.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Mr. Cruz,
No.
6-3.
Moving on. We are ready for, does anyone have anything from their committee that they would like to share with us?
This is Ron. Sometime next week, we'll get with the athletic council and see when's a good time to have an athletic council meeting.
Okay, anyone else?
Frank Malloy with Finance. We should meet after the COW, between the COW and the general meeting. There were some issues on tonight's
If I
agenda.
may, I hate to interrupt. The two motions, the motion for the use of the buildings for polling places and the motion for the additional 10 days
I'm sorry.
vacation. Can I have a motion and a second, and can we have an official vote?
Rick Hoover,
That was my fault. I didn't remember it when we needed to add it in.
In the fall, but we hope that
Can I get a motion?
Rick Hoover, so moved.
Can I get a
I'll-
second? Okay.
that's- Yeah.
Can we, I don't want to stomp on Sharon. Sharon, you want to call for a roll call?
Yes, I'm sorry. My phone's ringing. I'm trying to mute myself out so you don't have to hear that phone ringing. Could we have a roll call?
Oh,
Mr.
so
Baker,
wait, this is Ron here, real quick. So we're voting on the vacation pay and the voting at Logan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Bream,
Yes.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Hoff,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Mrs. Irwin Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
I'm a yes for the voting at Logan and a no for the vacation pay.
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
Dr. Malloy.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, sorry I missed that. Any more for committee reports? Or,
Frank, you're the one, I interrupted you,
I
sorry.
was saying that we'll need to schedule a finance committee. We like to schedule those between the COW and the regular meeting. So Tuesday between those two would be good, if that's okay with those on the committee.
Did you catch that, Camilla?
I
Tuesday
did.
be-
That would
Tuesday
be,
between the cow and the voting meeting in June.
we're flipping the calendar to June.
Oh,
That
for-
would be June the 9th.
June 9th?
okay. Is that good with everybody?
Yeah, let me ask the question here. If we're gonna be in Yalla, can we meet in person, or do we have to do this
You know,
online.
that you brought that up. I had a conversation with someone on city council and they said that their next meeting is going to be in person. They may not be able to have people come in. They may have to be like on an iPad, like we're doing here, be part of a Zoom meeting, but the council members are all going to show up. I mean, even if we have to have it in the auditorium, I think would be fine, so we can spread out. But I believe come Friday, you're allowed to have groups of 25. I think I'm correct on that. If I'm not, please correct me.
Yes. Yes. Believe me, I would definitely enjoy having these in person and not online.
I agree. It's much easier.
It's a
So
lot.
Could we still have the option of the Zoom meeting though, if we so choose?
yes.
We could do that, yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to come in that feels that it's not safe.
As long as everyone's wearing as long as masks are worn, I think that's fine.
Okay, that's plan to
Um,
me.
I just wanted to mention, we have an education committee meeting tomorrow at 3:00. And the next CBRC Central Blair Rec meeting is on May 21st. And we'll be discussing the updates with anything involving recreation then.
Okay, sounds good. Any others? Okay, board president's report. I don't have anything to add to that. Superintendent report.
I would just like to thank all the administrators, all the teachers, all the custodians, all the secretaries. This has been very harrowing and their efforts have not gone unnoticed. We have had phenomenally smooth operations, and it's because of the hard work of a lot of individuals. And I want to thank the board for your patience and your understanding, because quite frankly, it has not been a bowl of cherries for you either. And thank you.
Okay. Thank you for keeping it moving there for sure. Anything else?
Yes, Madam President. I have something to add. Is this the end of the meeting?
It is, yes.
All right, good. I have this to add. I'll take a couple minutes here. I promise I'll be brief. I've been on the board now for 2 years. I haven't seen a lot of participation at board meetings from the teachers union. They don't gripe about a lot of stuff. So for Mr. Rosenberry to step up tonight at this meeting and speak, he must have had some real blowback. And I know that because I received that blowback. I had people contacting me right and left. Listen, we are going through something that is so unprecedented right now. We've got people worried about their jobs. We've got people worried about their health. We've got people worried about their family members, the economy. For a sitting board member to take the time, right? I believe we just had Teacher Appreciation Week. For a board member to take the time to put on a public page that most, I repeat, most of the district's employees only care about the students or when it doesn't affect their paychecks. For a board member to make that statement at this time, when people are worried about all those issues, is abhorrent to me. It is sad. And then to try and clean this up by saying I wasn't referring to the teachers. I don't care who you're referring to. We are the board of directors. We guide what this school district does. For you to question the integrity, the motives, or anything of any district employee without the gratitude of saying who it is because you put it out as a blanket statement. By the way, Ed, most means over 50% of our employees. I checked. The vast majority of our employees are in fact faculty. That is the teachers, my friend. So don't try and clean that up. The next day, as you continued your arguments, you went on to say one of the reasons you were making this post was because the teachers union did not back you. You were talking about the new school project and you felt you didn't get the support of the teachers. So this was coming. I told you it was coming. The next day, you cast aspersions upon 6 of the board members. 6, saying that we could not make a rational or moral vote on anything because we have relatives on the or who are in fact employed by the district. I am not done. Next, the next day, after, by the way, you got in an argument with several teachers on another person's page, not your own, somebody else's. You were arguing with a teacher. The next day, you post a meme of Donald Trump saying, "Good morning, snowflakes. What are you mad at today?"
Rick,
You may find that funny. I find that sad. I find that disgusting. And for you to make an issue about anybody's integrity when it comes to why they do their jobs, I bet you're getting paid for working on cars right now, Ed. I bet you are. But for you to make that insinuation about any employee in the district is abhorrent to me. Second, I move, since you referred to teachers in one of your little posts, I think it's only important, and I think it would be extremely inappropriate for you to remain on any negotiation team when it comes to contract talks with said employees. That is sad and disgusting. And I don't know how we get you off it. And I'm going to ask our solicitor, sir, I'm going to ask 3 things. Number 1, Ed can step down from that committee, correct?
He can if he wants to, but he doesn't have to.
I don't care if he
That'll
has.
be a no.
Second, could our board president remove him from that committee?
She could, but I'm going to say the same thing. She is not obligated to.
Third,
okay,
if Sharon will not remove him and he will not step down, can the board members vote to have him taken off the negotiation team?
That would be a bit unprecedented, and I thought
I'm all for unprecedented.
I believe we talked about this in executive session.
So my question is, if I propose right now, I'm going to ask Sharon, well, I'll ask Ed first. Ed, are you going to step down from that committee?
I already answered no.
Sharon, are you going to remove Ed from that committee?
couple things to say to you first, Rick.
No,
Do you,
I need an answer to my question.
well, no, I let you speak. Now I want to speak.
I wasn't done. Sharon, I have the floor. I'm going to finish my thought and then we'll let you speak. Thank you. All right, so we had one of the 2 things happen, Carl. We just had the person refused to step down. We had the board president saying she's not going to ask him to step down or reassign him. So I'm going to go to the 3rd option and you're going to tell me if it's possible. Can we take a vote of the entire committee to have Mr. Cruz removed from the negotiation team that deals with this teacher's contract?
Are you putting the question to me?
No, I'm putting that to our solicitor.
I will say that that would be the first time in my 33 years of representing schools that I've ever seen such a motion posed.
I'm all for groundbreaking times. So I move that we vote on having Mr. Cruz removed from the negotiation team due to his conversation and Facebook presence. We have him removed because he has proven he cannot be an honest bargainer with our teachers. So I am going to move that we vote to have him removed from the negotiation team.
First of all, you said that everybody's in an uproar over this. I had a call from a teacher that told me that you put that out there. You got this started and you put that out there. And you are so high and mighty about what people say and do on Facebook Do you remember about a year ago when you were attacking me on Facebook? The things you
Sharon?
were just, no, it's my turn.
Well,
thing-
I have a question. I just proposed a vote. I
Well-
proposed that we vote on something.
Didn't
I
get a
didn't
second.
know this was going to be a back and forth, but so could we vote on this and then move on?
Because you want to throw your darts, but you don't want to accept any responsibility for what you do. You
Ms.
attack
Green,
viciously.
Madam
it-
President, we're at the end of a meeting. I would like to get a vote to see how many people think that Mr. Cruz needs to be removed from negotiating with the very teachers he attacked.
No, it's what you don't want to hear what you did. You don't want to acknowledge what you did. What you did was low and underhanded and dirty, and it was a personal attack on me. And not only have you done that, Mr. Brennan has done that, and Mr. Don has done that on Facebook. I don't put stuff on Facebook. If I have a problem with someone, I say it to their face. I'm not a coward that goes to Facebook and puts it out there. You
Could
are.
we move on a vote, please?
Out there about me were ridiculous and they were lies. And you were the one that got this all stirred up, and I heard it from a teacher right from our district.
So you're right. Ed didn't make a post.
He did not make a post against teachers.
Who was it against, Sharon?
You would have to ask him. It was
Well, I'm
not,
not asking him. I'd like to take a vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not in an executive session. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second or not?
A second for what?
Vote to have him removed. Otherwise, the motion dies.
so I take that as there is no second, motion is denied.
Then we're going to have it on the record right now that the members of this board agree that Ed Cruz should remain on a negotiation team dealing with teachers' contracts after he made a statement that obviously attacked our faculty. All right, I'm glad we got that on the record, ladies and gentlemen.
Ed has been a participating member of that committee and has done a fine job on that committee. We have not any problems with Ed on that committee.
Oh, wait, you just opened a can of worms. I just want to ask this question. I won't be much longer. Let's give Ed a chance to respond. Specify who you were referring to when you said most Altoona area district employees.
Not, we're done. Let's move on.
I just would like to say, at the end of the day, there are 9 board members. We all have one vote on the committee where we attend the negotiating sessions. We don't vote on anything. In fact, Carl Beard is our spokesperson. And the items discussed, it's a give and take situation. Ed, Eric, Sharon, and myself are the committee members. And I don't know, Rick, it's not a problem. Ed has the right to his viewpoint, and saying things on Facebook are protected by the First Amendment. So at the end of the day, we all have one vote. It's not about respecting teachers. It's about what is fair to the district and what is fair to the teachers. It's a give and take. And negotiations is still in process, so it has a ways to go.
Well, then one more question for Carl. Carl,
I'm here.
what movement now what happens if the teachers union, after Mr. Cruz's posts, and I said posts, not posts, he posted more than one on his site and others. After that, if the teachers union does not see him as an honest broker anymore because he openly attacked them, what would be our response if they refused to meet with him?
Well, you're not going to like the answer, but nobody can tell somebody else. Like, we can't tell the association who they can't bring, and the association can't tell us who we can't bring. But I do have to confirm, since I cautioned everybody about bringing this up, that Mr. Cruz has not disparaged the teachers at any bargaining session, nor has he disparaged them in any of the district caucuses.
Okay, well, since we're about done, I'd just like to say, I, for one, would like to thank the administration and the teachers, the janitors, the police department, everyone else who works for the school district. We are living in troubled times right now. We are going through something that is unprecedented. And I think instead of telling people that they only worry about their pay, I think we should tell people, we thank you so much for the great job that you do to provide the very best education to the students of the Altoona Area School District. That is what I would love to end on. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry we had to end like this. I remember, I just want to say, I was at a meeting at Logan and I made a proposal to put the school on the ballot, and a vice president made a motion for me to resign. And I just, you know, I got big shoulders. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Those days are over.
Those days are over. Thank you. Let's, you know, we're going in a new direction.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen.